there. It's now.
Yeah, so, but we do have that. So recording in progress.
That's a much better voice than the other. We want that commission to order, and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we're starting about this public comment, we'll start with those in the room. And then we'll move to anyone on Zoom. If we do have someone who wants to comment, then I'll explain the rules. If not, I won't. Is there anybody in the room who has a public comment? Anyone on Zoom, please raise your, oh, there's Kelly Doherty. Okay, the rules on this are you get 3 minutes. This is not a time to give and take to the board. This is a time for the public to comment to the board. We ask that you state your name and if you're affiliated with a group, what that group is, and be civil. And it's a public meeting. Okay, Kelly, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Today before you is an IGA between the Port of Morrow and yourselves. The IGA is the governing document between the two of you. In the IGA, it contains a paragraph in the agreement which appears to be a very broad non-disclosure agreement. The business of government is a public business. Private companies choose to do business with cities, states, and federal agencies because they want public resources, public infrastructure, and public customers. If they want those benefits, they must accept public scrutiny. We cannot allow private business standards to rewrite public democracy principles. Elected officials must have the courage to stand up to corporate pressure and say, if you want to work with our community, you must do so in the light of day. Let us demand that our leaders keep their hands off NDAs, their minds on the public good, and the doors of government open wide. I urge you today to look into that NDA, reach into your souls, and eliminate the NDA in your agreement in the IGA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Anyone else on Zoom, please raise your hand. Anybody, Matt? No? No. Okay. All right. Conclude public comment. We'll go on to the consideration of adoption of agenda. Do I hear a motion to do that?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
In a second.
Same.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, we'll start off with our department reports. And the first one up is assessment and tax quarterly report. Probably just a written mic.
I think he's at a conference, so he just has to submit it.
Okay, yeah, it's a written one. We got it in our packet. Okay, Public Works, Roy. There.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning.
Rory Roulette, Interim Public Works Director. Update for roads. Crews have been out this past month putting on quite a bit of shoulder rock on many roads throughout the county. That's one thing I think want to be focused on doing quite a bit of the next 5-6 years. There's a lot to get done, not just from a safety aspect, but pavement preservation aspect. When you got that open edge of asphalt, gets drove over, chips, breaks, cracks, and then it's going out into the road. So there's quite a bit throughout the county and a lot of work to be done on that. This year has been extremely bad for blowouts, just how dry it's been. And crews have been out trying to do what we can to repair those spots, trying to help farmers get through harvest. And we'll have to go through when we get some moisture this fall and dress everything up with our fall blading operations. And then this next month, we look at getting some road striping done. So looking forward to getting some paint out on the ground. For solid waste, operations continue to stay busy at both transfer sites. And we've got a solid waste advisory committee meeting coming up on the 18th. Look forward to that discussion. And we will also be working with the county's planning and GIS department to develop a map for the franchise service boundaries. Basically just creating a map for the public to see basically who's servicing who in which areas. So I think that'll be extremely helpful. Mattress recycling. Our semi-annual reporting shows that we have recycled about 17,000 pounds of mattresses and box springs in the past 6 months.
How many mattresses is that?
I don't know what the total number of mattresses, but it sounds like a lot. And so it's just nice to be able to see that strong public engagement, participation in that, and also nice to see that waste getting diverted from the landfills. Airport, air traffic, ag operations continue up there, and we continue to see an increase in overall air traffic with summer flying season. And we have been doing some maintenance up there. We got done with the restripe project up there, which not only improves safety and visibility, but it kind of gives an overall facelift of the airport. So it was nice to see the paint out on the ground up there. Drone operations continue up there. We did have a fire safety meeting with the operations crew up there and the Lexington fire chief to just go over some site specific safety risk and emergency response procedures, just kind of being proactive and prepared in the event something happens. There's an incident with a drone there. We also held the airport advisory committee meeting last week, which went well, had some good discussions, and I'm just real appreciative to those who take their time out of their day to be a part of that committee, to have those discussions and make improvements where we can. It's much needed and much appreciated.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah. And for weeds, roadside spraying, we sprayed every work day this past month, summer annuals mostly. And Corey's been busy reviewing the application reports, anticipated use reports, and noxious weed draft plans for energy companies. He's also been making multiple trips throughout the county, just investigating weed issues and identifying noxious weed areas. He's also made substantial progress on the vegetation management up at the airport, which is nice to see. So thankful for him and all the progress that he's been able to make up there. I think that's pretty much it for me, unless you guys have any questions.
Any questions, Roy?
So when are we going to get enough moisture for you to?
That's the problem. I wish it was sooner than later, but I still think we're a ways out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, next up is our county admin report. And
Apologize.
finance department. Yes, that's
Kevin.
Did you want to report something? Coach like that? Yes.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Kevin Gibbs, Finance Director. Fairly brief report, but a couple of things of significance. Obviously, we're past June 30th, so my office is feverishly working on year-end activities and audit activities. We did have our interim audit fieldwork in the week of July 6th. Fieldwork went smoothly. There were some potential findings, unfortunately, that came to surface during their fieldwork, and as those are solidified and finalized with our audit, we'll be reporting more on those in the future. On our ERP system project, this is a fairly significant update. Our original plan on that was to go live on our financial module in October, and followed by the HR and payroll modules in January. Due to workload and slippage in the schedule, made the determination that we were not going to be able to be successful with an October 1 go live for the financial module. So we've worked with the project team with Tyler Tech to push back that for 3 months to January 1. So at this point, we'd be anticipating go live on everything except for the asset management system on January 1. There is a budgetary impact. It's, as of right now, it's covered in the existing appropriations and budget for the project, but chews up any contingency that we had built into that. So looks like it's estimated to be around a $20,000 impact, and that's really due to additional time and sessions that are required from the Tyler Tech project management staff to have additional training and configuration sessions. So unfortunately, something that we tried to avoid, but we're not successful at, just due to staffing and workload. We just got a little bit too far behind to balance it all. So outside of that, everything is normal day-to-day operations in finance and accounting.
So you said everything go live on January 1st minus the resources.
The asset management.
That's asset management.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's reasonable?
Yeah, it's a push. It's still a big lift to get there. I would consider that to be a required go live date, especially for the HRM and payroll systems, just because of the way that taxes and payroll systems and accumulators work. We really need to align that with the beginning of a calendar year. And so we'll put whatever time, effort, resources are necessary to make sure that date happens.
Okay, thank you. That's what I should.
Okay. The questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we can do our county admin report.
Thank you, Board. Sorry I don't have a written one, but I did want to bring up a couple items for you. The courthouse, for some work received, we have they completed their first concrete pour for the floors there. This was done through a early morning beyond normal work hours. We got that permit from the city of Hefner and have been in close conversations with the residents. First one went down seemingly without a hitch. We haven't received any complaints, so we're happy about that. We have two more one in August and one in the first part of September that we're planning on. So that's going well. We also have the RFP for the artwork. We received 6 artists from the state of Oregon that we're reviewing. And as we get that, we're going to bring them in, have them do little mock-ups, and then with the final ones, as they have their vision, they bring that into the board of commissioners to review before giving the full speed ahead. And so we're excited about that. That piece of artwork is, there's a central stairwell that goes up, and it'll be either in the middle of the stairwell or on the large wood panel wall behind it. So we're leaving that open to the artists to share their vision and their direction on that. So we do have some local artists. One is from Hefner itself, and a couple other from the Hermiston and Pendleton area, as well as others from the west side of the state. We do have a resident representative on that. Andrea Nelson is going with the South Morrow Art.
South Morrow County Art Center.
South Morrow County Art Center.
Hey, really close off the tongue. How did you hesitate?
Yeah. But she'll be participating. She's out of country right now, but she'll be joining us as we move forward with reviewing the proposals and that. So we're excited about that. Fair is going forward. Our staff are really scrambling to get that taken care of. The projects that were discussed at the last meeting, they did have a fair board approval on that, and they are underway on that. We have found that our water pressure down there at the Wilkins Center is lower than really satisfying, provide satisfying water pressure overall. We're having to proceed with it right now because it's would be about $7,500, and we're identifying where we can. But we'll be operational for the fair, and we may be coming back and asking for some additional funds to bump up that water pressure and get an additional meter there. It will likely be during the next budget process, and it's just part of the request attached to that. Wildfires, appreciate all the fire departments and first responders keeping it up. We, as a county, we've blessedly not been impacted as some of our neighbors have, and we hope that remains the course. I'm not much for knocking on wood, but this seems like a year to do so. We did have a meeting, Chair Sykes and I attended a meeting with the sheriff. There have been some inconsistencies on how and when the roads department should be dispatched. And there are constraints on that because of funding from the state is limited to what we can do. We are looking at some of that. The last thing we want is to have people say, well, the county doesn't help out with fires, because we're fully desirous to do that, but we have to be conscious of the funding restrictions, which is in the state constitution. So we had some meetings with that, working through a process. We'll likely be bringing a policy to the commission. Right now, we're working that we can get water tenders up to the fires, and as long as we track and submit the amounts for reimbursement from local fire districts and the regional fire protection district. But we are working through that, so there's no hesitation when someone asks for assistance, and you have clear guidelines on that. So we'll be bringing that to you in the future. We are looking to make sure that we can respond to make sure Morrow County stays as fire-free as possible. Just to let you know, we have received several good qualified applications for the Public Works Director position. I've done an initial phone interview on several candidates, and we are going to be interviewing 3 on August 18th. And so we'll be assembling a committee to do that, and they'll be coming out, and we'll be initiating that and hopefully making progress on that. Do want to say Rory's been doing a great job, and he is one of the applicants, and I appreciate him for stepping up and taking there, but we want to do our due diligence to make sure we have the best we can. With that, there's just a reminder, I am out tomorrow and Friday for a medical procedure, and will likely be working from home next week, but should be available in my absence while Vincent's juggling the fair. I'll have him be kind of authorized because I won't be out of it, but we'll be sending out communications to the other directors and elected officials to make sure they know about that. Any questions or concerns or other projects? You might have questions.
Any questions? I guess I'll bear with me just a second. I'm going to read my laptop. I forgot it. Sorry. Precisely, just take a second. Thank you. Okay, next up is number 5, our consent agenda. Anything you guys want to pull out and talk about?
I don't have anything.
And do I'll move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried.
Should we recess and sign the plats?
Should we? I think we can just do the plats at the end of the meeting. So unless if you're waiting, we ask for one. We have a priority on that White Heights subdivision. If I could add, I would recommend that I'm in recess or to do those signatures. That's it.
Okay, we have a 5-minute recess. And we're up to public hearing. Tell me not. Yeah.
And I do notice that my packet I had to load these. I was out of the office all week last week. I had to load this before I went out of the office. So Matt brought something to my attention and said, hey, it's not what we had talked about. We talked about making one very minor change. Do you need to open the public hearing?
Yeah. Okay, I'll open the public hearing on planning department fee schedule clarification on surcharge.
Yes, thank you. So for the record, Tamara Mabbott, Planning Director. So this is a request for a very minor amendment to our fee schedule to clarify that the per megawatt surcharge for energy facilities is indeed a surcharge, not an additional fee. And we've collected a fair amount of funds over the years with that surcharge, both for projects that were reviewed and permitted directly by the state Energy Facility Siting Council, and then also the county. We've have, as you know, a couple of really large projects coming our way, and one of those developers asked whether or not we could waive that. I indicated that that would have to be a direct request to the board, not at a staff level. Also wanted to clarify just the simple, the one page I copied, there's more in the packet, and that I need to admit was me adding the whole thing. So the intent of this request is just to be clear that the per megawatt is a surcharge, and other counties, Umatilla County recently followed suit. So they've structured it a little bit differently for solar and wind, and ours is just a flat per megawatt fee. In your packet, you have to pull that up here. There is language that had a surcharge for data centers, and that was not my intent to include that. It's there. Happy to hear your comments or discuss it. Or just to remove that. So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions, staff, before we open the public testimony?
So on the surcharge, so that's $500 per megawatt. So we can do easy math because we've had 1,000 megawatt solar project. That'd be $500,000 that we're going to surcharge.
We have not collected that one yet because they have that particular project.
But going forward, we have another one.
We do. Yeah. And actually, Michaela and I put together a spreadsheet I could share with you to show you how much revenue we've collected over the past. And that does not stay in the planning office. That's been going back into the general fund.
Not that I'm against collecting money for the county, but does it really cost us that much to process that? Then I would then think back to like when we've had discussions about with the weed stuff. The county can't make money for providing the service, right? We have to kind of do it at our cost. Is that? That's the approach we've done with the weeds. It's been pretty much cover the additional costs that's incurred on.
It's also why it's specifically called and importantly called a surcharge. So many jurisdictions have a surcharge on building permit fees, which is a discussion Matt and Kevin and I have been having. Kevin's asked not to put that forward until we have a formal opinion from the state, but building permit fees are, lots of jurisdictions have a surcharge to cover other than direct costs for processing a permit. And we've never done a cost allocation study in Morrow County. I know Matt and Kevin have talked about that also for departments that charge fees. So if you don't do the indirect cost allocation study, you need to justify that. A surcharge is the exception. And the intent is to generate revenue, not to just recover costs that it takes to process whatever those permits are. So yes, we make money from it. Very clearly, we make money from it.
But I mean, as I understand it, it still comes out to less than what they have to pay to go through FSEC. Is that
Correct. Correct.
So it's not like we're wildly off base with it either.
They say, it's not that I'm against collecting revenue for the county. The county can always use the money. It's just that, well, it seems way beyond what probably it costs us to do that.
Well, maybe we could use some of this money to do a cost allocation study in the
Sure.
Yeah. And that could be something we open up for discussion. I would ask that we do change that minor thing with the surcharge, just so it's clarified in that. But you're right. There is a question once you get so big, how much more different is it from a 750 to 1,000 megawatt? Maybe we could prepare that for a future consideration on the fee schedule.
And you could put a cap on it, for example, because honestly, a 2,000 acre project is just as much work as a 10,000 acre project. Notwithstanding the work Public Works gets to do and the work we do following up and monitoring projects, even that are FSEC. And we do have a reimbursement agreement with them, but we don't recover all those costs. But the surcharge would exceed whatever time. Yeah.
And my understanding also is, to make changes to the fees themselves, or if you only do the like once a year or something.
Every 6 months. So
I'm not going to propose that we make any changes today, but just for clarification.
Thank you. That's correct. Yeah.
In the terms of clarification, really all we're being asked to do is put surcharge at the next to additional fee permit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all the request is for today.
For today. That's correct.
Got any questions of Tamara? During that, we'll open up to public testimony. Is there anyone here that would like to, anyone in the room that would like to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak in favor of this surcharge change? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Now, is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition or as neutral and just wants to make a statement? How about on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom want to make it's an opposition or just a neutral statement? Raise your hand. Okay. Don't see anybody. Anybody see anybody? No. So we'll close the public testimony part of the hearing, and the commission will make its decision.
So I'll make a motion to approve the fee schedule with the addition of surcharge at the end of additional fee per megawatt.
I second.
Even second, and for the discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Okay, that closes our public hearing. Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll get into our business items. Public Health Department pursuing a regional position for alcohol prevention work, partnering with Gillum and Union County, Florida.
Good morning. Robin Kennedy. I'm Morrow County Public Health Director. So commissioners, I come to you this morning with a request, as you said, to pursue a regional prevention position. So to give you a little background, if you recall the first part of this year, Kimberly Lindsay, the CEO of Community Counseling Solutions, came to you and requested that this funding go back to public health. It was funding that had been going to CCS for 20 plus years for prevention work. Their focus is on treatment, and public health really has a obligation to protect our community. So prevention really should fall on public health. So the proposal is, so we're receiving this funding now, and I was juggling how to absorb that funding amongst my staff that's already taxed with the responsibilities that they have. And the representative for this program from OHA brought forth the idea of a possibility of a regional prevention specialist. So we've been doing some communicating with Wheeler and Gillum County public health directors, and they are on board with this, just pooling our funding together and having a preventional specialist to serve all 3 counties, we think would push the work forward in a better way than just juggling around and having people do little bits here and there. To really have somebody that's focused on this work would be more advantageous for all of our communities. And the 3 counties, Wheeler, Gillum, and Morrow, all kind of have similar things going on in our counties and stuff. So that's why partnering with them seems to make sense. So, and there is a model already in place in Central Oregon where there's a regional position, and that is shared with Deschutes, and Crook and Jefferson. So it's kind of a model that's already worked in another area and could work for us. So that's basically what I wrote up a little thing of why this would be important for us. But do you have any questions for me or concerns or?
So just to clarify, you're making sure that we are in support of it before you continue pursuing it?
Exactly.
So you're not necessarily looking for a motion because we don't have a specific agreement.
That's exactly what we're looking at.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
we're going to have to establish an IGA. We're going to have to come back to you with
MOUs.
an FTE request. We don't want to get down the, particularly since we're partnering with other counties.
Yeah.
We don't want to negotiate too much with them if it's not something that the BOC would be interested in getting to.
Well, I would
Exactly.
be interested in having a full-time specialist. That makes sense to me. So I think it's a good idea.
I would too.
Okay.
Consensus is
Good. I'll keep pursuing and I'll come back to you with a report when we move things forward.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next book is order directing the sheriff to conduct proposers sales.
This is listed through the assessment and taxation, but it's also, we've been working with Mike and the Board of Commissioners previously on the foreclosure list. I think it was probably a month ago or where you here had the list. We went through each property almost. Several of them had ones that might put auction. Some were still potential for providing to other municipal government entities. And there's a few that, at least one that had a few questions still on some of the property line issues, I believe was one. So that's not included in this list. I just mentioned that when you guys saw the list before, it was a lot longer list. And you're like, hey, why is there only a few here? It's because some of those other ones, when the board was talking, we were looking at doing signed to other entities. So they won't go into auction. So that's why they're not listed on here. There is one that could be for auction, but I think there's still questions that maybe Mike had about, I forgot which, some of the property issues with it, just small parts.
I think there was one where the property line sort of
Yeah.
went through somebody's shed, and so there was still some
Some
It
issues there.
goes through the house.
goes through the house.
Yeah, and so I think that was ones where like, we're not gonna, till we get that figured out, let's not just open a can of worms by putting that in an auction and having to deal with that mess afterwards. So that's why this list is this size. So this is the process at first, then the board ordering it, and then the sheriff starts that process too. So there's still a notice that have to go out. We gave the information stage about a month ago. This is the order, and then we do the notice and start the auction and get it set. So that's the order. That's the process we're on. I just asked the board to go forward, sign so we can get rid of the property. I know it's something that Mike and Matt, I think, and the commissioners have been really saying, hey, why we're not real estate agents. We don't just hang on to this property forever. And the costs we've talked about of keeping it up. I know certain municipalities are saying, hey, keep the weeds down. Watch out for this stuff. And the county doesn't really keep,
Like
have
you
set
said,
people.
we're not property managers.
We're not property managers. So, and we have been for a while. And so this is where time for us to start getting rid of it, just as the board directed.
So that's all I have, I think, at this point. Anything else, Matt, that I missed? I know you've been working on it quite a bit with us. You were hand in hand with us.
No, so this order set establishes it so then the sheriff takes over. They've handled these in the past, and so this is kind of a formal issue to authorize him to go forward and do them. They usually take it, they advertise it, they have the auction. We have received several people who've asked about several of these properties, and so we're anxious to get those back on the tax rolls rather than under the Morrow County needs. So.
Seems to me, and I think it's Justin probably, this seems to be about the same process we used in the past.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's set in statute, so I think we should, hopefully we've done the same way in the past, you know?
but then our legal due diligence, the assessor's due diligence, seems like it's the same. There's
Correct.
nothing new to, okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
The biggest change is if we make money in excess, and that's for properties after a certain date, which these will be following that, but that isn't such a requirement on these
On
properties
these ones,
as it is on some other properties that, per the assessor's determination, there's still some legislative actions going on that, and rather than doing it and have to redo things and that, you'd rather wait to see what happens in this executive or this long session to see.
If there's clarification.
Yes, there's clarification.
You said that won't hold this one up because
Not this one, but we do have properties that were after that 2024 date that we're not putting on the auction yet.
Okay. Any other questions to legal or Matt?
Yeah, what's the order number?
03.
03. Okay.
So yeah, I didn't realize that at first. A lot of times I asked Valerie ahead of time, but I submitted it and didn't have it refilled in, so.
As long as I make the correct motion, it's fine.
So then in the resolution, there's a blank there where it says the minimum price.
Correct. That is, and we can put it in there about the taxes owed. And I think that was still a discussion for the board, and I can update it if the board agrees with the minimum price. A lot of times we just talk about sometimes you can say $1, we just want to get them sold. The actual taxes owed is a minimum price, but whatever the board wishes to do. It just says you have to set a minimum price.
I think we should set the minimum price of what the taxes owed. Yeah.
Okay. So how does that work into the resolution, the whereas of the floor?
Let me pull it up here real quick. So and so I think what I would motion to approve OR 2026-03 with an amendment that minimum price shall be updated to be the the taxes owed for each parcel. And I'll update that and just change the language right now so it's not handwritten in or anything else like that. And so I can update that for the board to sign off on. That'd be the change, just amending it to include that minimum being the taxes owed on each parcel.
Okay. I got it.
You got that motion? Okay, good.
And it's approved, correct? Approving the resolution. Correct. Okay. I move to approve resolution OR 2026-03 with,
Non-resolution.
Order.
sorry, okay.
I might put
Dies
that
for
in.
lack of a second. Okay, try again. I move to approve order 2026-03 with amendment that the minimum bid be taxes owed for each parcel. Second.
Second, any further discussion? You better say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay. Thank you, Justin. Okay, next up, we have our 7C, intergovernmental report Morrow rural strategic investment program, SIP, joint coordination framework. This is Matt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Board, we do have before us an intergovernmental agreement for coordination on negotiating SIP agreements for people coming in looking to do investments and economic development within the county. Per the requirements of ORS 285C .609, legislation changed this 2 years ago, or say a couple of years ago, where if an affected port, if the development happens within an affected port or city, that port or city needs to have an agreement with the business before it can be considered. So the county and the port or city would be required to do so. Since most of these SIP considerations are happening in unincorporated area within the county and the port district, it was deemed previously that we should have some kind of framework on how those negotiations would go to try to streamline it, so we wouldn't cause any additional hesitation or delays with businesses developing as they go through. A small work group was held. County representation was Commissioner Bolts, Mike Gorman, and myself, and this is the IGA information that came up with, and we are bringing before you as for your consideration. As noted in the public comments, there is a section that talks about confidentiality. I would not say that this constitutes a non-disclosure agreement, as the requirements are set up by the ORS in the SIP. ORS 285C.620 says that until the county comes and makes it public about it and allows for a public hearing and public discussion, that there are certain levels of confidentiality that are to be accepted. The name of the business, the application, and other items. So this is not an NDA in the natural sense where we will never be able to talk about it. This is just to keep their considerations confidential until an agreement is established, and then the agreement still has to go through a public process, allowing, and the commission acts on it. So with this IGA, this will set up a committee with one person from the Board of Commissioners, one person from the Port Board, and then the Chief Administrative Officer from the Port, and myself as the Chief Administrative from the county. And that group would be in charge. The county would be the lead contact for any requests that come through. And then from that point, we would gather that negotiating team, go meet with them, and proceed with that. Once we have an agreement, a tentative agreement that we can bring to the port and the board, then that negotiating team will bring that to them. As you can see in the IGA, there's no determination of financial splits. Will be based upon what the SIP allows, plus any consideration per the project, where its location is, what the impacts are, and be able to bring those up. And working together with the port and the board, with the county, we're hoping that we can look at the best interests of the entire county as we look to enter into these SIPs. So we're asking for consideration and adoption of the IGA. There has been a comment, a grievance that the work group should have been a public meeting. We will be addressing that grievance per requirements of OGEC and state regulations. But that was received yesterday. I think the board was CC'd on that grievance issue. So,
two questions.
Yes, sir.
Did you say, I admitted this to one of them, I had the port approved this on the third?
So the port approved it with one minor change. The one change that they did do was on section 3B, they took out what we previously had: public infrastructure improvements or upgrades. They took out upgrades. And so they just wanted to say it could be new improvements or new infrastructure. We don't want to just talk about upgrading to it. And so that's on 3B. I think I was able to update that after their item. So on the final packet, that's already been changed.
So you're saying 3B on mine, that's negotiation strategy.
Yes, the last line says.
Okay, public infrastructure. Okay, that's where it was.
And it previously had upgrade after public infrastructure.
feel like that makes a material difference.
No, I feel the same way. And so, the document before you, I believe reflects the intent of the work group. We feel it provides a good option for consideration of SIP moving forward and making sure that we don't add too many unnecessary hoops into it and still fulfills the current legislative requirements.
Okay. Any questions?
I guess I would have a question for Justin. So under 4B for statutory exemptions, to the maximum extent permitted under Oregon law, the parties agree to utilize applicable exemptions from disclosure under the Oregon Public Records Law, including but not limited to ORS 192345 and ORS 192355. So to me, we're just agreeing to use rules that already exist. Is that correct? This is not.
Yeah,
We're not going above and beyond any sort of statutory exemptions. We're saying we're using what already exists.
correct. I think that's how it looks at too. The only difference would be a lot of times executive sessions you can decide, right? You could say, hey, this fits under an executive session that's allowed. And governing body can say, yeah, we don't want to do that though. We don't want to use exception. This says that we will be using those if they're available. So it's not a separate NDA saying, oh, this is outside the statute, just says these allow exceptions to us to go into executive sessions, and we are going to use those when they are available to the company. The board could say, nope, these are available executive sessions, but we're not going to use them. We're going to do all these in public. But this is still allowed.
But if we use to the maximum extent permitted, we are boxing ourselves in to say we have to.
That we don't have to, but I mean, if it's available, I think that's the termination here. If they are available to use, that the county or whatever this body is that's negotiating it will utilize it.
Okay.
I got one. So you might have addressed this too. My understanding is the city of Boardman has like 2,500 acres industrial inside.
24
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
They own.
It doesn't matter. It could be one acre. My question is, if there's a SIP application within the city limits, then does this not apply, or how is that going to work?
So interesting enough, if it's within the city will have to have an agreement with the business as well.
Right.
Also the port, because it's within the affected port, and the county.
Right.
And so this would allow the county and the port to work together to help streamline it. Generally, if the city has it, or if it's within port area, both of those entities will have to sign off on. But we're anticipating most of the growth in the SIP will be outside of the of city limits, and therefore we're looking at the common.
No, I get the intent. I know you said that. I just wondered if in that particular instance, would this IGA apply and move forward under the terms of it, or are we going to have a different setup as far as negotiating?
My anticipation, and Commissioner McNulty, you need to correct me if I'm wrong, is for the port and the county's aspect of using SIP within the cities, this would still be used. We would just have an additional aspect that the city would have to be part of it. Or have their own negotiating business.
Okay.
We just want to streamline it between port and county.
That's
one other thing that was brought up by this board was the timing and the effectiveness of this. If you notice, Section 5A is this agreement shall not have effect on any SIP negotiations that commence before July 1st. So we know there have been a couple that were underway, and so we won't have to go back and restart using this negotiating team on those. However, that negotiating team would sure like to look at that and be part of the presentation to the board and the county on that.
I wasn't able to make the court meeting. Did they elect someone to the committee?
They did, and it is
John Murray.
John Murray. Is it?
That's what I thought.
Let me double check.
How are we gonna handle that? Is it gonna be part of this action? Are we gonna wait till the meeting or? It wasn't on the agenda, so.
Well, probably wait till the next meeting. It's not on the agenda. We can do that. Because we probably don't have an application coming before this point, before then, so.
Yeah. And so we have, and Lisa's out of town for signature and she do electronically, but we would have it so you can consider and make your appointment for that on the 19th.
Okay. Any other questions? Legal, Matt? Entertain a motion to approve. Approve and adopt the intergovernmental agreement for the Rural Strategic Investment Program Joint Coordinating Framework. You said that the change the board made is incorporating. Those.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't need a caveat in there. Okay.
So I will move to approve and adopt the intergovernmental agreement for Rural Strategic Investment Program Joint Coordination Framework.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to have some further discussion. I'm just thinking under 4B, what if we could change it to say, to the maximum extent permitted under Oregon law, the parties may utilize applicable exemptions from disclosure under Oregon public records law, including but not limited to blah, blah, blah. Just change the to a may. Because then we don't box ourselves in saying we will only use the most restrictive version.
What's on that? Anybody?
You know, to move things along, because supports, because then that's go back, we're going to revolt. I'm fine with just keeping it to it is.
Yeah, I would like it to have may, but I understand that.
Call for the question. I call for the question.
Yeah, it's been called.
Okay, so move the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Next up is, I'm going to meet with Morrow Soil and Water Conservation District. That's an act.
So during the budget process, we identified that the current grant, community assistance grants that we have would not be applicable to the the Morrow Soil and Water Conservation District because they do have a taxing option. We've met with them and went back and forth. And as we went through this, we've adjusted and able to meet with Kevin Payne and work through this. We had some final revisions on provided by Bob Blackmore, which did counter what my cover letter said and did establish a specific amount to be designated for as in $80,000 for the next 3 years. And that if there was additional review or additional monies required, that would come through the approval of the Board of Commissioners. So we'd have them come and discuss that as necessary to be incorporated. Part of this it's a 3-year funding plan at the amount of $80,000. But it does require that if you notice on 2.8 is the language where a local taxing district option would have to be explored and that a report would be brought back to the Board of Commissioners by June 30th, 2027. So that allows them a year to do the research, also allows them to come back and report, and then allows them 2 years to put in place as if that's a course of action that's required. One thing we did discover is that the district as it formed is it was formed out of 2 districts, one the Heckner and the Boardman one, and it was kind of consolidated in 1972. It would not. They are formed a little bit differently than other special districts, and they report up to the state Department of Agriculture and such. And so they do have some different aspects of it. To institute a taxing option, it looks like they'll have to go to a referendum, of course, but they might be able to sidestep some of the requirements that have caps of tax rates because it wasn't established back in 1972. So this would be an opportunity to allow a new one. We are going to put the onus on them to do that research, though, and make sure it's correct and flesh that all out before coming to the Board of Commissioners in less than a year. So with that, we hope this agreement has been reviewed by Bob Blackmore and approved by Kevin Payne. We would ask for the board's approval and commitment for that, and then we direct staff to make the necessary budgetary considerations and changes to allow this to happen. Yeah, the urgency back there.
Kevin, do you have a question?
Yeah. A few questions. And this is just regarding the administration of the agreement, some things that are maybe not super clear on the surface. In section 2.7, you believe that's under the obligations of the Soil and Water Conservation District. They're going to use funds remitted to pay expenses, operations. But down in section 3.4, it's describing a reimbursement process to actually get the funding and based on invoices. So just I guess I would ask for clarification on, is this a advance funded, or is it intended that the Soil and Water Conservation District would be submitting invoices on a quarterly basis for review and approval and reimbursement? First question.
They're set for submitting an invoice on a quarterly basis for reimbursement.
Okay. In section 3.2, any funds not remitted would be used for payment of county's extension service related expenses. I'm a little bit unclear on what county extension service related expenses would be. And I guess I would ask for specificity, because to accommodate this, we'd have to establish a special revenue fund, and that those funds would have to be appropriately restricted. So we need some clarification on what those extension service related expenses are.
And that, I would say, is unfortunately a leftover dribble that wasn't caught through a review. This was used, a template was used by the Oregon State Extension Service. And so we could probably strike everything in that sentence from funds retained in county. More or less 3.2 could be just read as retain any approved funds not remitted to SWCD.
Okay.
My apologies for catching.
Would those be retained for a specific use or future use by SWCD? It makes a significant impact on the accounting treatment and how we have to track that liability. So,
I think we could just retain the funds. If they don't use it, then we keep it. And if we strike
if they don't use it, we don't distribute it. So would that be a different terminology with that?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just looking for clarification so we can appropriately restrict the funds. I guess my only other comment would be to recommend that the board consider just paying the $80,000 a year as an advance payment. I'm a little concerned about the administrative burden on reviewing invoices and on a quarterly basis and determining allowable versus not allowable. If it's the intention to fund it, then I would recommend that we find the appropriate source and fund it. Perhaps ask for reporting on a quarterly basis rather than this invoice review and submission and reimbursement process.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Matt, would it be appropriate then to table this with the direction that we have this IGA be cleaned up to? They'll be given $80,000 a year to be used within the Soil Water Conservation District. and everything else is the same.
Sure thing.
I mean, obviously the board's gonna have to approve that, but
And I like Kevin's idea that they come on a quarterly basis and tell us how they're spending the county's $80,000.
okay, I think that's reasonable.
That's all the questions I had. Thanks.
That covers your concerns.
Yeah.
Before you make the motion, I got a question. Matt, whenever, well, we're talking about the weed, the solar, I'm going through that, maybe researching the weed fee pilots. There's a weed district, you know. And before you go on, I know in here it says so water conservation is a technical advisor to the county.
Yes, for the weed district.
It was really unclear to me what the weed district status is. It's inactive, isn't it?
So the weed district, I've looked in this, it's been a little bit, but we could come back and give you just a report on the full status of it. The one of the reasons why we have to have the weed district is it authorizes our weeds employee to go on to properties and take action. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the authority, is to be able to go in and almost,
The weed employees are weed,
yes.
because the weed district doesn't.
But the weed district is the venue to allow for that, for those actions to happen under.
It's just an organization, but they don't even tax, do
They don't tax,
they?
and
I don't think they pay, do they?
I probably not. And so that's something we could do a little bit of research and come back and report.
Well, I'd like to kind of know how they fit in,
Sure.
so, you know.
Yeah.
Not that it's gonna mess anything up, it's just. I'd like to clear in my mind how.
I think it sounds like there's a district that needs some help, and Chair Sykes would like to volunteer to lead.
That's what I heard too.
No,
I'll include that in a motion.
Only if it's gonna help the whole effort here. If it's just gonna cause more, you know,
Headache.
chaos and headache in the process, because we all know where we want to get to, you know, especially with more renewables coming in, or you know, and all that, the weeds. So only, I think you ought to do anything with the weed district, only if it helps our cause. If it causes more layers of admin and causes Kevin more headaches, and he's got enough headaches. So anyway, that's my thought.
Okay. Well, I move to table the discussion of the intergovernmental agreement with Morrow County Soil and Water Conservation District until Matt has an agreement where they are receiving $80,000 and it includes quarterly reports.
Second.
Move the second, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next up is update discussion for industrial data center listening session, August.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with this session. I've heard in the rumor mill discussions about delaying it, and I just want to make sure that we're having those discussions together as board and making sure we move forward together. Matt, do you have any updates?
So we had been targeting a date for September 3rd to meet, or September 2nd, sorry, for an outreach process, and we were going to do a shred system within a possible panel discussion. We've reached out to JUB and as our planning consultant of record, and they do have a public outreach person who could be a third-party facilitator on that. With some of the changes in certain petitions and that, and not having full information on water, and other items. There was discussion about delaying that until further information could be assembled and taken care of. And so we were looking to consider that as a course of action.
Okay, I guess just from my perspective, I understand wanting to get things right, getting our ducks in a row, but at some point we just need to do it. And so I would, if we're going to delay it, I would rather not be an indefinite delay and say, we are having a target date, we're going to do it, we're going to set out, we're going to get it done.
Well,
So that would be my,
I would say there was never any official action to do it.
It was nebulous. We didn't have a date set or anything. That
Well,
was just
it's more
something
than
before
that.
that.
If you go back and listen to the recording of the work session we had,
Mhm.
you'll get the gist of what we were planning on this. We never made a motion for the agenda, the date, anything. So the board never took any action to do it. There was a consensus to move forward and talk about doing it. If you listen to that, that's where we're at.
so I guess I would like to set a date since we talked about doing it and we were saying we want to do it. So that's what I'm after. Would another month be adequate? And we had it the first Wednesday of October.
Yeah, how do you mean so?
I don't think you could set a date without more discussion.
Okay, what
This veered off from what was in the work session. I recommend you go to the work session, any discussion in the EOC, and I can talk about the first meeting, Matt Cameron, and Mr. and Mrs. Killian had, and what was discussed there, wish. And so to say, oh, we're going to set a date and not have to do this, we're not quite sure what it's going to be we're going to do, I think is not a very good thing to do. We need to decide exactly what's going to be. Set the intent and how it's going to be conducted. Those things never came before the board. Never were voted on. So,
All right, so sounds like we should do that for our next session then.
well, who's going to make those decisions?
Well, we will.
Okay, in a work session.
Well, it sounds like we have to vote on it, so I think we'll have to do it in a
Well,
vote.
yeah, but you gotta have a report on what all those things are, I think. I mean, I wouldn't vote on all those things that I approve. I approved of all those things I just did. And that's gonna be quite a long, somebody has to develop a framework for us to vote. Where we have to develop a framework in an open session, in a business item, or a work session.
Okay. I think I hear you and I understand. Sure. That's all I've got. There's any further discussion. So,
Next stuff is conflict discussion. Plans, Bobby?
Thank you. Oop, I broke it and I broke that one there too.
Oh, you didn't break anything. It's fine.
Well, I'll just replace it when I. So, Commissioners, I'm really hard. So, in front of you, I wrote something up, but it's not in the public record.
you want me to read it?
I'll get it.
Okay.
And so I've talked to all of you at one time or another about my desire to get this my position onto a non-presidential election. currently it's, my position's on the presidential, please read it. I can't do it.
I can, if that's okay.
Sure.
This is currently the county clerk's position is set to the presidential general election. This is one of the most watched elections and difficult for clerks as we are continually asked how we can be on the ballot and count our votes. I've wanted to get the Morrow County clerk off that cycle for some time. What I am here asking for today is that you consider allowing me to vacate my current position as county clerk and reappointing me to my current office. I need to vacate to get the county clerk position placed on a November 3rd, 2026 general election ballot. Based on statutes ORS 236.210, which controls the vacancy in the office for nonpartisan county offices, while ORS 249.205 controls how candidates get on the ballot to fill that vacancy. If the vacancy occurs before the 62nd day before the 2026 general election, September 2nd, 2026, a vacancy exists in the elective county office. Under ORS 236.210, subsection 1, the county court or Board of County Commissioners appoints a person to perform the duties of the office until the vacancy is filled by election. The governor has no appointment authority for a county clerk vacancy. Because the county clerk is a nonpartisan office, ORS 249.205, section 1 applies if the vacancy occurs before the 62nd day before the 2026 general election. It authorizes candidates to file for office under schedule provided in OAR 165-010-0110. The points are nonpartisan county candidate resigns, then the county commissioner appoints someone under ORS 236.210. 3, because the vacancy occurred before the 62nd day before the general election, the position is placed on the 2026 general election ballot using the candidate filing process in ORS 249.205. 4, the appointed person serves until the elected successor qualifies. My hope is that the voters in Morrow County can vote on the next county clerk. I can get all the programs that I administer into the next clerk's name while getting them training to run those programs so we as a county do not lose any services to our citizens. I'm asking you to please consider my request. I'll be there for transitions and I plan on helping them in any way that I can. If needed, I will come back and work with them at no cost to the county. Thank you, Bobby Childers, Morrow County Clerk.
When was this put on the agenda?
So this was added yesterday. There's and more or less as she would like to discuss this with you. She is looking to step down, and she's been talking about retirement dates and everything for a while now. But she also has that driving interest to set the clerk's office, the election for the clerk's office on a non-presidential election. If she were to step down, which would allow you to reappoint, then that would set up an election for this year, which would be a 4-year term, in getting the clerks off that cycle. In doing so, she would prepare to submit a resignation before the 19th, which would allow you to appoint someone. You could appoint her as the temporary through the end of the term, but would allow interested residents to file for the position of clerk before the cutoff date, which would be September 2nd for filing cutoff. 25th of September. So it would allow us a little bit of time for getting the word out, saying there is a vacancy in the office or will be, and an election is required.
I think this is a big deal, and I think this is kind of, to put it on the agenda the day before the meeting is a little bit tough on us.
There's no action necessary from you all. She wanted to get this up instead of just coming and dropping off her notice of resignation and vacancy. And so she wanted to provide this to let you know what she's thinking about. And in talking with the state and seeing that the time schedule is what it is, she felt it best to get this on for today's meeting, so it's not just all
dropping a bomb on the 19th.
Okay, and the reason you wanted it as a business item, so there could be give and take between us,
Yes,
rather than just a
Sure.
letter to the
sure,
VOC telling us what you're going to do.
sure.
So you want to hear our side?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think I would prefer you just work for eternity, so I don't really get the whole retirement thing. I don't know if that's about me, but outside of that, I support it, Bobby.
No, like us, we'll hate to see you leave, but we appreciate you looking out what's best for the county. And I understand, you're doing it for what's best for you too. Things see happen. So, I have been supportive.
I feel the same way.
I just, I've been here so long, it's like my family. And it's actually comes first. My jobs came first, and it needs to not. So this honestly hurts me to do this.
I think we can tell that your devotion to the county, like this all means.
Yeah, that's always been very evident, Bobby. You care very much about this job and about the county.
Well, I appreciate, I will tell you, I love my job, but there's no way I would do your jobs. I could not sit in front of the public and hold my stuff together. I have statutes and rules, so those curtail me, thank God. But you guys have a hard lift, and I just want to be able to not be part of the problem, but part of our great county. I mean, we have one of the best counties in the state, and I want to keep it that way. And as you all know, I like to control my own stuff, and this is really hard. So I will be coming the 19th with my resignation, hoping that you will appoint me back into the position. I truly, I don't have anybody under me right now. I'm one man short. And honestly, I kind of want to make sure that is something that somebody coming in would be able to work with. So, my person is gone for, I did too much training, and now my positions are open again. So hopefully we can transition and get somebody that can work with somebody coming in too.
I would like to, when we made the appointment for the vacant commissioner, I came down and talked to you, and I think we established a very good process. So I don't know, I think maybe the BOC should think about what process we're going to use to do that, even though
Okay.
we kind of know what we're going to.
Yeah, well, I would have to give you this. I would have to give you a candidate filing, because I have to ask for the job. I would have to resign. You would have to, so you accept it. Then I'm in limbo whether you accept it or don't accept it, or reappoint me.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure we're doing everything
Right,
legally.
right, right. And so statute talks about you can do it in the distant future. So that's where I was going, was that I was going to put my resignation in for the day the person took office. So after they had ran. That's a state statute, not a county. So talking to the state, they told me, no, Bobby, you have to vacate. And then you're going to have to see if they'll put you back into your position. As I see it now, my timelines aren't good. I'm very aware of that. Trying to get answers and making sure that, and then, I thought I had somebody and now I don't. So if I walk out tomorrow, I would leave the county in a pretty big hurt because, you know, I've got an election coming, city elections, those things, and that is not my intention. The state says, you know, I've got basically, so this is what the state told me. I just, I want to get this position off of a general presidential. If this can't happen, I can work another 2 years. It won't kill me. So.
Well, and like I said, I'm repeating myself. I just want to make sure.
I get it.
Right. It's not contestable here in Morrow County what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. As I'm already elected the county clerk.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the people have already put me in. I am not a fan of appointments. So if I cut out and after the election and just say, hey, appoint somebody, then the people don't get a pick. And I don't think that's fair to them. And it would keep it on the November presidential. So that is just
No, like I said, that makes sense logically and everything.
I know.
Just the way things
Sure.
can get sometimes.
Sure. And I'm at conference this coming week. And if you want something from the state, I can probably get that.
I think that would be nice.
I just think legal, I'll take a good hard look at it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's.
Yeah.
So if board, if I could just recommend, now that we have this, and we could take legal counsel, do some confirmations, make sure it's all lined up so that there isn't tripping. I appreciate the homework that Bobby's done and checking on that. We can just give it kind of a stamp of approval, proof of form kind of thing, and make sure we have whatever forms ready for that consideration. So she knows if she can submit, and if you want to accept, almost the motion would be like, yes, we understand, we'll accept resignation and reappointment.
Okay.
So,
Keep our process legal.
yes, fine. But now that she's provided this, I think we can travel through that.
And I will bring something back for you.
All right.
And I'll get it before the meeting on the 9th.
Do you need a consensus to move forward with that, to look?
No, I don't think. I think we're okay. No, it's more like whatever decisions like Bobby makes on, and then that'll be put on the agenda for discussion, probably for the next meeting, 19th.
Okay.
I think that, another thing by doing this now is that it does give another 2 weeks that it is out there, that this position is going to be coming open.
Right.
Even if it's not officially open yet, it's going to be open. So if anybody in the public hears this, they know,
Yeah.
they can be thinking about it for that.
So I'll go back with, I hate to keep repeating myself. It's out there so the public will see it. Let's make sure, is there a legal process that we put it out there?
Yeah.
That's part of what
That's where I have to vacate. That is why I have to vacate, is so it can be that legal process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That's the one that trips it.
just want to make sure.
So
I
I appreciate all you do, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Okay. Correspondence, do we have any, or do we?
Didn't know I knew that.
We did get that email from Jonathan Tallman, which I'll include in your packet.
Okay. We have, commission reports. Yep, thanks, Stephen.
So I guess it was last week, we had the CDA meeting, and things are moving along the path to get property transferred. One of the things that is kind of overlooked, forgotten, but the Oregon Trail Heritage Site out there on the depot says it's written into the programmatic agreement. It's going to have to actually be carved out, and that is going to have to come to Morrow County. Previously we've had a verbal agreement with the port that they want to take over maintenance and everything on that. But based off of what I heard at the meeting last week, we are going to have to actually take title to that. My comment to Lisa was, unless you two tell me otherwise, is that As soon as we get title to that, we will deed that over to the port. Then they didn't seem to have any problem with that, but again, unless you tell me otherwise, that's the way that we're going to move
I
forward.
wouldn't tell you otherwise. No, tell you charge it.
As soon as they deed it over to us, there might have to be a public
Yes,
process
we will.
announcement to do it, but I think we could turn it around and get that ready for as soon as we get that.
Give Blackmore the heads up.
Okay.
So we have everything in place. We're following the legal procedures as Dave was just harping on, but
Yes.
And I appreciate that because I don't want parks to have to drive all the way from the south to take care of that little strip, which is really kind of cool, but it's out in the middle of nowhere compared to for parks.
and it's going to be in the middle of the port's property.
Yes.
We're have people out there maintaining roads and picking up trash.
She'll be there anyways.
Yeah. So that was the big
Okay.
thing with the CES.
I don't think I have anything to report. Just,
Nothing except for next week. I expect I'm going to have a fairly significant update on the M&A Well Springs project. So, or not next week, next meeting. So look forward to that.
So going back to, the SIP agreement.
That was started before July 1st. So
Right, but in the meeting when we were at the last one, I kind of obligated you and Mike to go give them a preview of when you had something that you
it's
could talk about.
it's been delayed, but I will update why that's been delayed. I found out yesterday why.
No, that's
why it's
fine.
been delayed.
Just,
Yeah.
that was because they wanted to include it all. And we said we only had the plan. And I told them, well, I'm sure that I can get Gus and Mike to give you an update before the port has to sign off on it.
Yes, I agree with that. Hello. See, he volunteered me for something. So if this how this is going to work. All right. Yeah. No, that's it for me.
I know you're not the county agent, so would you like to give us an off-the-cuff report on how the crop went this year?
Oh, not for everybody, but I think on the whole, it's been a very good year.
I see a ton of wheat piling up out by Northlex elevators. So that's
Yeah,
a sign.
I can't remember.
know.
I think it
Some
was a
social
social media
media
ago. They were trying to get a barge out every single day to get all the wheat out.
Wow.
So pretty great scenario.
So we like to hear
Yes, yeah.
very much.
Not everything's perfect, but that's good. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, did we have a executive session scheduled for 8 a.m.? I mean, 11 a.m., excuse me.
Yes.
So do we have to wait till 11 a.m. to start that?
Did we list it on the agenda at 11?
We didn't set it specifically at 11. We had some where individuals were going to come at 11. I'm just looking for Bob. So if we wouldn't mind just taking it, I had told him to get in on 10:45.
Yeah.
So in anticipation, he might be running a little early. He's not on. We can just leave a short recess,
Okay.
and then I can give him a call and get him on, and we can go into our executives.
Okay. We will read till 10:45. Okay. Call the meeting of the Morrow County Commission back to order and recess. And now we are going to go into executive session. Morrow County Board of Commissioners now meet in executive session pursuant to RS 192-6602B, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to consider the dismissal or discipline of, or to hear complaints or charges against employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent who does not request an open hearing, and ORS 192-6602F, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to consider information on records that are exempt by law for public inspection, and ORS 192-6602D, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry out labor negotiations, and ORS 192-6602F, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. Well, we will now enter executive session.
Recording in progress.
We're back in open session, and before we adjourn, there will be some action taken.
Okay. I move that it be resolved that the county hereby ratifies, approves, and confirms nunc pro tunc the authorization and execution of the impacts grant agreement for $429,844 dated May 18th, 2026.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, that concludes our business. Anything else that needs a tail end here? Not? We'll adjourn.
Do you in